Level 1. Survive. You have $23 left. Your next paycheck is still 5 days away. Then you remember your phone bill, $49. The next morning, you stop at a grocery store before work. You grab a sandwich, a drink, and a snack. Then you check your balance one more time. The number hasn't changed. So you put the snack back, then the drink, then the sandwich. You leave with the cheapest microwave burrito you can find. Nobody notices. But you notice. At lunch, your coworkers head out to eat. Someone asks if you're coming. You smile and say you're not hungry. But in reality, you are hungry. And suddenly, your stomach growls. After work, your phone vibrates. It's your friends. They're meeting downtown to watch the game. For a moment, you forget about money. Then, you open your banking app. $23. You already know your answer. Sorry, maybe next time. You start walking home. A sports bar is packed with people. For a second, you stop walking. Then you keep moving. Back home, dinner takes 2 minutes to make. You eat alone. Then you hear a strange sound outside. You freeze for a second. You walk outside. The tire is flat. You don't even ask how much it will cost, because you already know you can't afford it. So you decide to deal with it later. 5 days later, payday. For a moment, everything feels okay. Then the bills arrive. Rent, insurance, phone bill, groceries. And suddenly most of the money is gone. You spent the entire week trying to survive. Now you finally have a little breathing room. But for the first time in your life, you start wondering what it would feel like to stop worrying about every single dollar. Level 2. Breathe. A year has passed. Now your emergency fund has grown to $500. You still check your bank account, but this time, the number doesn't scare you. It's not a lot of money, but it's enough to breathe. Then one morning, something unexpected happens. A sharp pain shoots through your tooth. You try to ignore it. By lunch, it's worse. By evening, you call a dentist. The next morning, you sit in the waiting room. The dentist takes a look. Then comes the number. $120. A year ago, this would have ruined your month. Now it just hurts. And that's a strange feeling. For the first time, an emergency didn't defeat you. Then you notice someone in the parking lot. You wonder what life feels like when emergencies don't matter at all. Level 3. Plan. Several years later, your savings have reached $10,000. You still go to work every day, but work feels different now. Then, one morning, an email arrives. Mandatory company meeting. Nobody says it out loud, but everyone knows what this means. Layoffs. A few years ago, this would have terrified you. Now you're nervous, not terrified, because for the first time in your life, you know you'll be okay. And strangely enough, that's when you start thinking about the future. Level 4. Choose. Several more years pass. After the layoffs, you found an even better job. Now your savings have reached $50,000. Something strange happens at this level. You stop saying yes to everything. Your boss asks if you can work another weekend. A few years ago, you would have said yes immediately. This time, you think about it. Then, you say no. And the world doesn't end. For the first time, money gives you something more valuable than money. It gives you options. And once you have choices, you start asking bigger questions. If money isn't the goal, then what is? A few months later, something happens that completely changes how you define success. Level 5. Grow. Several years later, your income has reached 6 figures. This used to be your dream. Back then, you thought this number would solve everything. And to be fair, it solved a lot. You don't worry about rent anymore. You don't worry about emergencies. You don't worry about groceries. But something else quietly appears. You reach a goal, and then another, and another. The excitement never lasts as long as you expect. Then one evening, your phone lights up. It's a message from someone you haven't spoken to in years. Level 6. Build. Several more years pass. Your net worth has reached $500,000. Money starts behaving differently now. Some days, your investments make more than your old paycheck. Years ago, this would have felt unbelievable. Then the message arrives. It's from your old friend, the friend you used to see every week. Then life got busy. You both kept saying, "We should catch up sometime." But somehow, someday, never came. The message is short. Call me when you can. And suddenly, nothing about money feels important anymore. Level 7. Freedom. Several more years pass. Your net worth reaches $1 million. This used to be the finish line. But now, you're not thinking about money. You call him back. He answers immediately. His voice sounds different. Then he tells you the news. The doctor found something. And suddenly, every meeting you skipped feels important. Every postponed phone call. Every delayed visit. Every maybe next month. For years, you thought freedom meant having enough money. Now you realize freedom is having enough time and the people to spend it with. Level 8. Legacy. Several more years pass. Your net worth reaches $5 million. The strange thing is, almost nothing changes anymore. Your coffee doesn't taste 500 times better. Your sunsets don't become more beautiful. One afternoon, you receive an invitation. A local school wants you to give a speech. At first, you almost decline. Then you remember being 22. Back then, one piece of advice could have changed everything. So you say yes. A few weeks later, you're standing backstage at the school. There are hundreds of students in the audience. You prepared a speech about success. Then you walk onto the stage. You look at the crowd and suddenly forget your speech. Because every face reminds you of yourself. People who think they have all the time in the world. So, instead of talking about money, you tell them a story about $23. And for the first time, you realize people are listening far more carefully than they ever listened to your success. Level 9. Enough. Several more years pass. Your net worth reached $10 million. Years ago, this number would have sounded impossible. Now it's just another number. You spent years chasing bigger numbers. Then one day, a student emails you. He says your story changed his life. Not because of the millions, because of the $23. Because that's the part people saw themselves in. And suddenly, you understand something. Enough was never a number. Enough is having time. Enough is having people. For years, you thought wealth was about having more. More money, more security, more success. But looking back, the moments you remember aren't financial. You remember people. You remember conversations. You remember ordinary days. Then you remember something else. The night, with $23. Back then, you thought you were behind. You thought everyone else had figured life out. You were wrong. Nobody really knows what they're doing. We're all just learning as we go. And that's okay. Because in the end, life was never about the number. It was about the moments that happened while you were chasing it. Years later, someone else sits on a couch with $23 in their account. They think they're behind. They think everyone else has it figured out, and they have no idea what's waiting ahead. Neither did you.